Good afternoon. Ooh, hello, good afternoon. I don't have to lean so close in. I can stand back a little bit. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 28th Annual White Coat Ceremony here at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. My name is Carrie Tom. I am the Associate Dean for Student Affairs. To those of you sitting here in the Hippodrome and also to those tuning in remotely, we're so delighted that you have joined us today for this important and very exciting event. It's been fun to see and hear the energy both from your students and from all of you today. Celebrating these milestones such as today always brings me so much personal joy, and as we take the time to celebrate these important events, I'm always reminded to also start with some purposeful gratitude. I am so privileged to get to do the work that I do. Each year, this ceremony reminds me to take my own moment and reflect on my own personal journey to this spot, as well as the privilege I have as a physician in caring for others. I probably didn't know it at my own white coat ceremony that my passion would lead me here to work alongside such amazing colleagues and staff with this shared passion for education and mentorship is such another true joy of mine as part of my career. And together, we are so grateful to have the opportunity to get to know your students of the class of 2028. It has been such a fun week getting to know them. They are so energetic. They're already starting to bond together as a class and get to know their faculty, and that's been so much fun to see. And for us, we're here, we're ready to educate, to mentor, to guide, support, and serve them through their journeys. Today's ceremony is a time of celebration in which we recognize the hard work and accomplishments that have led to this moment for your students. It is also an important milestone which your student will be welcomed into this noble profession of medicine, as well as to our very own community in the School of Medicine. Additionally, this is an opportunity for them to reaffirm their professional commitment to becoming the clinically excellent and compassionate physicians we know that they aspire to be, because they were selected for that desire. Throughout today's program, we hope that you will come away with a greater understanding of and an appreciation of our historic medical school, as well as the joys and challenges the class of 2028 will face during these upcoming phases of their medical education journey. Over the last week, many of us have spent a lot of time with your students, and we've started opening conversations with them, specifically discussing the importance of reaching out, using resources, leaning on the support that we're able to give, but also their personal support networks. Later on in the program, you'll have the opportunity to hear from Dr. Martinez and Dr. Allen, who will share a glimpse of these conversations we've been having with your students, with you in their upcoming remarks. Without question, your support will be critical to their success, and we truly look forward to partnering with you in supporting your student along this journey. I'd like to also take a moment to recognize our generous sponsors for today's wonderful event. Presenting sponsor, the Whiting-Turner Contracting Company, as well as the sponsor of today's stethoscopes that the students will receive, the alumni of the Medical Alumni Association here at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. Thank you to both Whiting-Turner and the Medical Alumni Association for the ongoing support of the White Coat Ceremony. Another important piece of gratitude, I would like to recognize our Medical Family Annual Fund. This fund benefits students in various ways throughout their time in medical school, and contributions from that fund also help to make today a reality. It may surprise you that the University of Maryland School of Medicine does not function, at least financially speaking, like a typical public university. Generating over 95% of revenue from sources other than state support is operated much more like a private medical school. In fact, the tuition pays only 3% of its revenue. Over the years, the School of Medicine thus has steadily relied upon non-traditional sources of revenue, including philanthropy. The Medical Family Annual Fund, created back in 2004, allows medical family members an opportunity to directly impact the academic experiences of their students through philanthropy. The fund is devoted to medical student life and academics, and the outpouring of generosity from medical families has been tremendous, with over $440,000 raised to date. I would also like to recognize in the audience our current co-chairs of the Medical Family Annual Fund, Steve and Joy Schaefer, who are the parents of class of 2025 student, Annika Schaefer, and who you will hear from more shortly. Mr. and Mr. Schaefer, thank you so much for your commitment to enriching the experience of our medical students. Donations to the Medical Family Annual Fund enhance medical student study areas, as well as providing support for mentoring and wellness activities for your students. Remembering that education is not simply made up of laptops, lectures, and grand rounds, the University of Maryland considers the whole academic experience to be vital to your students' success. In the ceremony program you received today, you will find information on how to donate to this important fund, and you'll hear more about the Medical Family Annual Fund later in the program. All right. I would like to now shift gears and share a few facts about our medical school to provide you with some context for our students' learning environment. The School of Medicine was established in 1807, and it's the 5th oldest medical school in the US. It's also the first to open a teaching hospital in 1823. The School of Medicine was the founding school of the University of Maryland and today remains an integral part of the 12-campus university system of Maryland. Our School of Medicine community includes up to over 3,000 faculty members. Over the course of your students' education, they will have the opportunity to interact with many of these faculty members, many of whom will impact your students' experience and influence their future careers in a variety of ways. Some faculty members will be remembered as effective teachers or exemplary role models, and others will play important roles in academic, professional, and personal mentoring, as well as offer critical career advice and guidance. Several of those faculty members are here for the white coat ceremony to join in celebrating the start of careers for medicine for these students. One other thing we like to do here is to brag about how our students, your students, are the gem of this institution, and truly you should take great pride in your students' accomplishment to gaining admission to our medical school, as the competition is significant. They've heard this week as well, but we wanted to be sure to take a moment to brag to you about how they got to this point. From over 6,500 applications, the Office of Admissions interviewed only 534 students, and we matriculated 165 into this year's class. That is some impressive competition. The class of 2028 is composed of 57% women, 67% students of color, and 20% who identify as LGBTQ+. 71% of our students are Maryland residents, and in total, students have joined us from 61 different colleges and universities across the US. We are indeed fortunate to have such a large pool of qualified applicants for seats in this class, and like I said, we have truly already gotten off on a great foot and have really enjoyed interacting and meeting with your incredible students, each of whom has earned their spot here. They are capable of succeeding in medical school and achieving their goals. And as we mentioned before, they are going to need your success and your support, and there are going to be times that they are not going to be able to recognize that, or that they're going to forget how they've earned this spot. And this is one way you can really help to remind them. Since our founding in 1807, so much has changed in medicine, but we're still guided by some of the same basic principles as our founders, including dedication and commitment to the highest quality education, research, and clinical care. Indeed, it's our most important responsibility here at the University of Maryland School of Medicine to educate the next generation of physicians, scientists, and other allied health professionals. These students also are the 5th class to enter our new Renaissance curriculum. In this new curriculum, our dynamic community of scholars, physicians, and scientists aim to actualize the Renaissance physician. Your students will graduate as lifelong learners who are clinically excellent and possess humanism, professionalism, scholarship, leadership, critical thinking, and attention to social justice and diversity. And we take this charge very seriously. We know that our students will be responsible for changing patients' lives, shaping communities, and influencing the world in which we all live. Educating, mentoring, and encouraging them to become physicians is a professional and personal joy that we all value here at the School of Medicine. As your students navigate the next 4 years, we hope that they do so knowing that they are not taking this journey alone. Their peers, the faculty, staff, you, family, and friends are all along for the ride. Myself and the other assistant deans who work in the Office of Student Affairs, along with our colleagues in the Office of Medical Education and Undergraduate Medical Education, are here as their advocates and their mentors, aiming to promote personal and professional development, to assist in navigating challenges and opportunities, and to foster their well-being and sense of community. We are each committed to serving the students and helping them to be and realize the best versions of themselves and the best physicians they can be. I'm personally looking forward to seeing each and every one of them grow into bright, compassionate, competent physicians. And in a snap of a finger, I know that we'll be back on this stage for graduation in 4 quick years. Please encourage your students during that time to get to know some of us, to take advantage of the resources we have to offer. And importantly, if they come to you for guidance, please remind them that myself in the Office of Student Affairs, as well as my faculty colleagues, are their home away from home should they need anything. I would now like to introduce our first speaker of the day, Dr. Joseph Martinez. Dr. Martinez is a professor in the departments of emergency medicine and medicine, as well as our associate dean for medical education and student experience. He will be giving you an overview of the House Advisory System, again, something your students have learned about over the course of this week, and what you should expect as far as their experience over the first year in medical school. Dr. Martinez.
Hi, everyone. A few years ago, a student walked into the office and they said, medical school is really, really, really hard. And that's true. I read an astonishing study a few days ago, actually, that says that the doubling time of knowledge in medical knowledge has decreased from 50 years in 1950 to 20 years in 1980 to 3.5 years in 2010 to 73 days in our current time. That is an astonishing statistic. And it shows you just how difficult medical school can be. Information comes at you fast and furious. And though the first year is full of excitement and joy and new experiences, starting on Monday, the very first time that they step into our brand new, shiny, renovated anatomy lab and meet their anatomic donor for the first time and go through that experience of being the person to make that dissection on an anatomic donor. These are experiences they'll never forget. But by the same token, it is hard. It's a lot of work, and we can't make it easy for them. But what we can do is we can reaffirm our commitment to you that I made to your students on Monday when I met them for the very first time. That when they leave this school, our commitment is that we want them to leave as well as they were when they came in. You know, certainly they're going to learn a lot, they're going to grow as people and as future physicians, but we don't want them to lose that special thing that you gave them that made them so attractive to our Office of Admissions, made them 1 out of 165 out of 6,000 plus applicants, right? So you're going to hear from Dr. Allen in just a second about a lot of the wellness initiatives that we have put into place to try to support your students during these very challenging 4 years of medical school. We've come up with a wellness booklet that you can see in your program today. You can download the QR code and see things that you can do to help support them from your end as well. One of our initiatives that we started in 2017 to try to help our students is something called the House Advising System. This is where all of our students, when they're admitted to medical school, are divided into one of 4 houses. Yes, very Harry Potterish, I know. We didn't come up with the idea, J.K. Rowling did. But we divide them into one of 4 houses. Each house is headed by a senior educator, somebody that has been at Maryland for a number of years and has a long track record of being an effective educator. And then within those houses, there are 8 faculty mentors, many of whom have taken time from their busy clinical days to be here today to coach your students. These faculty mentors are assigned a cohort of students, 5 from the first-year class, 5 from the second-year class, 5 from the third-year class, and 5 from the fourth-year class. And they work hard to try to get to know all of these students. And the way that we have it set up that way is that students not only get mentoring from their faculty mentors, but that way they also get mentoring from the other students in classes other than their own within that faculty cohort. And this house system has done some amazing things through the years. It raised money after a devastating hurricane in Puerto Rico to send to the people that were suffering in Puerto Rico, as one of our houses is named for an alumni who practiced most of his career in Puerto Rico. So that was important to that house. They have donated truckloads of socks to people experiencing homeless in Baltimore. I don't know if you know that socks are the most sought after item at homeless shelters, and one that has to be given as a new item. You can't donate used socks. So our house system have donated truckloads of socks to people in Baltimore. But also they support each other and they have fun while they're doing it. The House Advisory System is supported in no small part by the Medical Alumni Association. Mr. Pitroff is here to represent them today. But the majority of support for the House Advisory System comes from the Medical Family Fund, and it helps to fund things like dinners for our students. You know, the value of a dinner out with a faculty member and some peers after you've been through a particularly busy time in medical school, really, you can't put a price tag on that. And so the money from the Medical Family Fund goes to support a lot of these ventures. All of this is really simply to say that we are so honored that you have entrusted us with the care of your loved ones for these next few short years. They've been hearing me say it all week that this medical school experience is going to go by in a blur. And we heard from some of our students. We were doing ICU rounds today virtually with some of the medical teams in our medical ICU, and there happened to be some graduates of our medical school up there and a 4th-year student that was up there, and they all talked about how quickly their medical school experience went. So as Dr. Tom just said, we're going to be back on this very stage in the blink of an eye watching your loved ones graduate. So our commitment to you and to your loved ones is that we're going to do our very best to give them back to you even better than you gave them to us. So now I'd like to introduce my friend and colleague, Dr. John Allen, Assistant Professor in the Department of Medicine and Assistant Dean in the Office of Student Affairs, who will talk to you a little bit more about wellness.
Hey, everybody. Such a pleasure to be here. You know what? I have a speech prepared, but I actually feel very nervous to read right now. So I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit about our wellness initiatives. We have a lot of amazing things, and I'll give you a little bit of info on our Medical Family Annual Fund as well. So my story that I've already shared with your students, and I'm happy to say it here as well, is that I suffer from anxiety and depression. And it is something that I did not really realize until the rigors of medical school kind of pushed me a little bit beyond my limit. The only reason I'm sharing that to you guys here is that I think that's a really common story for a lot of our students. And it's not something that I want your students to experience alone. Medical school, we talked about with them already, is this really amazing time, but it's actually a pretty tricky time. They get pushed really hard, and I know they want to be really excellent. And I think sometimes when they're trying to be excellent, they sort of neglect themselves. And I want to make sure that you guys know today that we have a lot of resources to help them through that kind of situation. We have a wellness committee, which is wonderful. Some of our most incredible students volunteer their time on there. If your student is really interested in these kind of initiatives, I'd really push them towards engaging in that. It's a real good ear to the ground for us, so we can sort of pay attention to what our students need. We also have a new peer support network, which is really, really exciting. It's being utilized really well. We have upperclassmen medical students who've been trained as peer supporters, and they actually volunteer their time so that our students can reach out to people who are in the same level of training as them. They don't always want to talk to faculty, so I'd really encourage them to work with them as well. And as Dr. Tom has already said, I would really push your students towards the Office of Student Affairs. We have so many resources that actually one of the big complaints is that it's hard to navigate because we have too many. So that's our job, right? Helping them figure out what they need. So push them towards us if they need anything. We also have the handbook, which there's a QR code in your program today that'll kind of help your student guide themselves through this first year or two of medical school, and you can download that and use that as a reference. Let me tell you a little bit about the Medical Family Annual Fund that is really actually important for us. And so our development office, in coordination with the Offices of Medical Education and Student Affairs, have created a wellness handbook, which I've mentioned. Make sure to download that QR code. The Medical Family Annual Fund contributes toward many of our school medicine wellness initiatives, including the programming and support provided by our Wellness Committee. Gifts to the fund supply funding each year for the mentorship and wellness activities that are essential for student success, such as those offered through the House Advisory System, a key component of a student's journey through medical school. Gifts to the fund are also used to celebrate special days for the medical students, such as today's white coat ceremony, and to renovate student lounges and study areas on our campus. All this has been possible because of the generous support of the family members of our medical students. We're now pleased to share a video with you, which will provide more information about this essential fund, along with comments from our medical students about how the programs supported by the fund have enhanced their experience in medical school. Thank you.
Congratulations on this important day for your medical student. Hi, I'm Steve Schaefer, proud parent of Annika Schaefer, who is in the class of 2025 at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. I currently serve as the Medical Family Annual Fund co-chair with my wife, Joy. The Medical Family Annual Fund was started in 2004 by medical family members like us to support and strengthen the education of our students. Since then, more than $400,000 has been contributed to this fund. Wow!
Steve and I donate to this vital fund annually because we know our contributions are being used for student-centered programs and projects impacting medical students daily. This is important to us because we know it enhances Annika's training and experiences, making her a better physician and researcher. Donations to the Medical Family Annual Fund support a wide range of events and activities, such as today's white coat ceremony. Our financial contributions help fund wellness initiatives, including providing meals for medical students surrounding important exams. Support also extends to the House Advisory System, covering mentorship activities and social events. Additionally, gifts to the fund have been used to upgrade student lounges and kitchen spaces, including 4 dedicated house rooms for studying, events, and socializing with classmates. While I could continue to explain to you how these donations have benefited UMSOM's medical students, we'd like you to hear from the students themselves.
Hey everyone, my name is Tony, and I'm a proud member of the Julius Friedenwald House. I particularly remember one morning bringing a bunch of toasters and bagels and having a lot of our professors and just physicians come through the house and some of our house members, and we all just got together before having classes, and then on full stomachs got the day started. So they provide a lot of great opportunity to meet some people in an otherwise daunting time starting out medical school, and it's just a great experience for everyone.
So I'm an MGP, and early on in the year we had an event called the rock climbing event, and we catered Qdoba. It was a lot of fun. It forced me to reach out to classmates I probably didn't reach out to before. Everything from finding a ride to getting rock climbing tips from M2s, M3s, M4s, people I probably wouldn't have interacted with, but now reach out to both socially and academically. Coming into med school, it was a huge adjustment. I was super nervous, but this really helped me find my groove, feel like I fit in, and just more comfortable. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniel. I'm a 4th year medical student here at Maryland. I'm a member of the Ava Dodge House, and I found that having the house rooms available to us was really great, especially for the first couple of years of school. I think that the best part is just being able to have a space to do a little bit of work in between classes, catch up with friends in between meetings, which there are a lot of your first couple of years of med school. And by far the number one thing that would put a smile on everyone's face is when a faculty advisor would drop off some coffee or donuts in the house and send us an email.
Hi everyone, my name is Mahima. I'm a new fourth year medical student. Today I'm in the JF house room and I'm just going to show you all a little bit about what this house room has and what I used it for during my time in medical school. So as you can see here, we have a big table that often me and my friends would study in. There's some resources for step 1 and some other anatomy books that were really helpful during our time. And when we were not studying, sometimes we would sit down on the couch and just relax. And as you can see, there's a TV behind me that can be used for watching educational videos or just having some recreational time to yourself.
Hi, so I love using the house rooms. I study here with my friends and I also scan them for my ultrasound elective. It's really helpful having a communal place where you can do these things.
Hi, my name is Peter Kim. I'm a third year medical student here at University of Maryland, and I am on the House Advisory Committee for the Julius Friedenwald House. One of my favorite aspects of the House program is that it facilitates relationships with fellow students and also doctors. I've had the pleasure of going to multiple dinners with classmates in my house, meeting physicians who are advisors within the house, and taking advantage of house events where we can get free bagels and coffee before lecture. I know that some of my Julius Friedenwald House members will be some of my closest friends through medical school and even beyond. So thank you for your support of the House program.
The house rooms provide a really great opportunity to do all sorts of things. I remember when I was here my first week, they had a whiteboard up in the house rooms and I was just studying and I met one of my best friends here, which was such a great experience. And they also have lots of opportunities to do fun things, games like Exploding Kittens or karaoke. So it's a really great way to both connect with the community and have a silent study space when you need it.
The house rooms have been one of my favorite places to study throughout med school. They're so bright and open and filled with all your classmates, which is the best moral support. I also loved going to the house room breakfast with Panera Bagels before a lecture. And go JF House.
Over the last couple of years with the house rooms and the house systems here at UMSOM, I personally have benefited from them a lot, especially first and second year. It's just a place to go after lecture, hang out, catch up on some work, but also just hang with friends. Not to mention that they're always stocked with snacks. So thanks so much and looking forward to keep the tradition going.
Hearing from these students, it is no wonder that the Medical Family Annual Fund is supported by so many medical family members every year. We hope you will join us in making your first annual gift to the Medical Family Annual Fund. No matter how much you contribute, your donation is put to work today. The next step is up to you. Can we add you to the list of Medical Family Annual Fund donors? The link to donate is found on the screen below and in your ceremony program, or you can call the Office of Development at 410-706-8503. That's 410-706-8503. Tell them Joy and Steve sent you. Thank you.
Well, one thing I did tell you was that our students are incredible, and I think that video really showcased the students as the gem. One thing I forgot to tell you, but is now obvious through that video, is one huge way we can all get together and support these students is by feeding them. So we are known for having snacks and candy in our office, so make sure if they're hesitant to come visit us, that's a way they can get here. All right, I would now like to present to you the University of Maryland School of Medicine class of 2028, led today by Dr. Donna Parker and our student marshals. Dr. Parker is a professor in the Department of Medicine and the Senior Associate Dean for Undergraduate Medical Education. Our two student marshals today are class of 2027 co-president Pratik Swami Kumar and treasurer Apanjith Sahi. It's a celebration. You're allowed to clap. It's not even over yet. It's only just starting. Class of 2028, welcome to your white coat ceremony. You may now be seated. And it is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Mark T. Gladwin, Dean of the University of Maryland School of Medicine, Vice President for Medical Affairs at the University of Maryland, Baltimore, and the John Z. and Akiko K. Bowers Distinguished Professor. Dr. Gladwin.
Well, that procession is a very hard act to follow. But welcome to our 2024 White Coat Ceremony, and good afternoon to everybody. And we're delighted to have all of you join our medical school. So I want to start by congratulating a very special group of students sitting here in front of me, and their amazing supportive family, partners, friends, mentors who supported them over so many years of scholarly accomplishment. This year, we had more than 6,500 applicants for 165 seats. Every year since the COVID pandemic, our applicant pool has increased. In fact, I just heard from Sandra Casada that we've had 5,200 applicants for next year's class in the first month alone. So why are we seeing such an interest in medicine? And while clearly I think this is evidence of our societal value placed on being a physician, I also believe the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic has realized a collective epiphany, and that is what we do in our academic medical centers and in our medical schools really matters. A bold life of service, embracing humanism, medicine, and science matters. I think it also tells us how absolutely competitive it is for all of you to be sitting here today, and that you and your supporting family and friends are clearly very special. And while we all suffer from imposter syndrome, I actually can still remember my first month of medical school, and I don't know what I'm doing standing up here as a dean. You all do share some very common traits with each other that brought you here to the University of Maryland School of Medicine. You all have grit and resilience. You have unbelievable discipline. You're intelligent. You're competitive. But you all are also humanists. You're confronting challenges with integrity, with grace, and with compassion. But above all, I think you're all bold. One of my favorite quotes, written by William Hutchinson Murray, who attributed the couplet to the German poet and philosopher Goethe, wrote, "Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it." To sit in this room, you all have boldly embraced uncertainty, a life of change, stress, discipline, and commitment to a deep understanding of science and humanism. And above all, I think you've all embraced your own vulnerability by committing yourself to a career that demands lifelong learning, constant self-reflection, and external tough feedback. These attributes allow you to always evolve and improve as a physician and a healer. To me, being bold means being courageous, to push the bounds of your abilities and your vulnerability, to ask for help when you need it, to embrace what you don't know, to find your passion in the many opportunities in medicine, to live with commitment, and to stand up to confront injustice and inequity to support the most vulnerable members of our society. To paraphrase Walter Isaacson, the author of the Steve Jobs biography, you're here today to put a dent in the universe. You do not accept this world order as it is today, but want to lean in and make a positive impact on our imperfect world. Being bold is challenging, it's scary, it means asking yourself all the time to get out of your comfort zone, to step into the unknown with every new rotation and every new patient encounter. I think a special part of being bold in medicine relates to the shared decision-making between you as a physician and your patient about potentially life-saving interventions. Together, you'll have to make bold calls about treatment and live with the outcomes of the most difficult shared decisions and even the direct harm caused by these decisions. You all have read about, or may have read about, our patient Lawrence Fawcett, whose wife Ann allowed me to briefly share his story. Larry was a 58-year-old with a great sense of which his wife called weird humor, very intelligent. He was a veteran, having worked for the Navy as a histopathology technician, and then later at the NIH's National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. He'd suffered for decades with cardiovascular disease and had multiple heart attacks, bypass surgery, peripheral vascular disease, all of this leading to advancing end-stage heart failure. He became home and bedbound, requiring continuous home infusions of milrinone, which is a potent inotropic agent, usually only used in the intensive care unit, that helped maintain his feeble cardiac output. He'd been evaluated and turned down by multiple centers for heart transplantation and even for a left ventricular assist device, and he was not expected to live beyond 3 to 6 months. As a last hope, he was referred to our physicians, Dr. Bart Griffith and Mohammed Muhuddin, who lead our xenotransplantation program, and asked if he wanted to consider a heart transplant with a genetically engineered pig heart. According to Ann, in their meeting, our doctors were careful to not ever give them false hope. The heart itself leverages a real revolution in molecular biology and medicine. It derives from a pig genetically engineered with more than 10 mutations, either gain or loss of function, that help turn off our immune response to the transplanted organ. Only one other patient had ever received a pig heart right here at the University of Maryland and had survived only for a few weeks. The transplantation team had modified the protocol based on lessons learned from the last case, but clearly presented the extremely high risk of the procedure. Just think about this decision between Larry and Dr. Griffith. There would be no backup plans if the heart failed. He was not a candidate for conventional transplantation or a left ventricular assist device. Larry, his wife, their 2 sons, and our physicians all made the bold decision to move forward. We obtained FDA approval as a compassionate exemption to perform the surgery based on no available therapies, and obtained extensive institutional review board, bioethical, and psychiatric clearances to move forward with that decision. According to Ann, Larry clearly understood the risks of his bold decision, and it was simple for him. He wanted to be here for his family for as many single days as possible, and he understood that there was a very small chance of the xenotransplantation working. He chose the path to provide help to the people who had dedicated their lives to research and assist with moving the research forward to help others in the future who would need a transplant. Larry did incredibly well for the first 30 days, as you probably read in the newspapers. He was extubated, he started physical therapy, he was witty, he wanted to round every day with the intensive care team as if he was a scientific member. Remember that he was a retired NIH pathologist, and he asked to read his own first endomyocardial xenobiopsy when the team showed him the images. Sadly, after 30 days, he developed sudden and unexpected antibody-mediated rejection with activation of complement in the heart tissue, and he had to go back on extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, which is a machine that oxygenates the blood and increases cardiac output. After 40 days and nights from the beginning of that transplant, our physician sat down again with him and Ann for an even more difficult shared decision. They explained that the heart would not recover, and it was time to stop the extracorporeal membrane oxygenation and allow him to die in comfort. He and his family agreed. He could no longer speak due to his weakness, and on the last day he decided to elect for comfort measures. He actually wrote a note to Allison Grazioli and Bart Griffith and all of our medical teams, and he pointed to them as they read the note, and the note simply stated, "I'm sorry, I'm so tired, I love you." So our shared decisions and counsel with our patients and families always live with us and sometimes haunt us, but scientific medical progress will require many bold, shared decisions. A second example of being bold summarizes the career of one of our esteemed alumni, Dr. Maurice Reed. He grew up right here in East Baltimore. He's a graduate of Howard University and a member of our medical school class of 1999, and he now serves as a member of our board of visitors. He matched here in emergency medicine, and after his residency was hired as a promising assistant professor in our department of emergency medicine. During his residency and early tenure as a faculty member, he noticed that many patients coming into the emergency room were sick but really didn't need emergency room level care, especially at the famous shock trauma center here in Maryland. They were people who needed primary care but didn't have a primary care doctor or a good way of getting fast access to basic urgent care. So he had identified a gap in our healthcare services. So he started a small part-time urgent care practice and a new healthcare company as really outside of his regular faculty job. He also embraced what at the time was a bold innovation, hiring nurse practitioners to work with emergency medicine trained physicians to be able to rapidly scale the patient care need to the right number of healthcare providers. At that time in the early 2000s, urgent care centers were completely new, as were nurse practitioners working independently. Note that today, nearly 25% of all office visits with a healthcare provider are with an advanced practice provider, not a physician. That's across the US. When Dr. Reed started out, he faced many naysayers and people around him who said, "You have a very secure job, you make good money. Why would you want to give that up?" He also approached our faculty practice about partnering in this business venture, and unfortunately, we turned him down. He next asked if he could work part-time as his business started to grow and run the growing enterprise. And unfortunately for us, he was a little much bolder than we were, and we said, "No, you have to be a full-time physician to work on our faculty." But rather than accept a limit on growing the venture, he decided to follow his dream. He trusted his entrepreneurial spirit, his business acumen, his desire to control his destiny. So he resigned his job at the medical center and started a company called Express Care. I don't know if any of you all have been to an Express Care. When he took this bold step, he was a young husband with 2 young children. He shared with me, though, that leaving his faculty was probably the best thing that ever could have happened to him as an entrepreneur, because he had absolutely no backup and no choice then but to make this business succeed for his family. So over the last 20 years, Dr. Reed turned Express Care into an urgent care success story. He grew the company to 30 branches in Maryland and another 9 branches across Delaware, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. And last year, he sold urgent Express Care to LifeBridge Health. So as you all know, you heard earlier that gross anatomy is a traditional rite of passage for our new medical students. And this new school year, we're very proud to open our newly renovated anatomy labs, where you'll do your first cadaver dissection. You'll discover the marvels of the human body in that experience. And we'll all appreciate that the renovation of the anatomy lab was made possible by a philanthropic donation of $1.6 million by Maurice Reed. So my last and very brief example of boldness is about one of our own medical students just starting her 4th year, Anna Schoonover. She grew up very involved in the life and care of her older sister, who has cerebral palsy. In her first year at med school, she was surprised and disappointed that none of her lectures talked about patients with disabilities, and there wasn't a student group that focused on disabilities. Back with data on how common disabilities are among our families and patients, she founded and was the first president of the University of Maryland chapter of the Disability Advocacy Coalition in Medicine. Now in its 3rd year, the coalition has a stable leadership team. It develops initiatives, plans campus events, and coordinates with other student groups. And she soon became known as the disability expert on campus. The second part of her plan was to find a way for disability content to be added to the curriculum. This was the scary part for her. Imagine saying to a faculty member who was responsible for our newly renovated Renaissance curriculum that there's already needed changes to that curriculum. So when the director of the MS2 lifestyle course, Dr. Caitlin Donahue, identified a funding source, that was the momentum she needed. She learned how to write grants with mentorship from Dr. Donahue, And they put in a niche grant for curriculum development, which was funded for $15,000 by the American Academy of Developmental Medicine and Dentistry. And what she told us, quote, "The cool part and intimidating part was being the only student working with the faculty team on the new disability curriculum. The curriculum is now incorporated throughout the entire pre-clerkship curriculum. It requires all first and second year students to participate, and there's a brief refresher in the third year." And she shared with us, quote, "Even if it wasn't easy or there was pushback, I realized that I could make waves and do things," end quote. So to summarize, these stories exemplify our lives in academic medicine, shared difficult life and death decisions with our patients, the revolution of science in medicine that we experience every day, innovation and entrepreneurship in medicine, and advocacy and education to address unmet need and health inequities. So I hope these stories will inspire you to embrace boldness in your diverse journeys. So I'll just take this last minute to comment on the symbolism of the white coat that you're about to wear. To me, the white coat symbolizes a calling. This is more than a job. It's a sacred embrace of service, leadership, optimism, and humanism. You will feel and experience and do everything you can to make that positive dent in the universe. Embarking on a career in medicine can allow a person to fully engage humanity in the most ennobling ways. As we learn from our stories, we draw on the sciences, humanities, and even business. Donning your white coat symbolically indicates your entrance into a sacred and ancient fraternity or sorority that will mark the rest of your lives in a way that no other occupation can. By donning the white coat, you prepare for a career of lifelong learning where you strive to be better and better as physicians and physician scientists and humanists, even as the gray hairs finally start to appear. And when those days are hard, and they will be hard, you'll be part of a family. You'll embrace your vulnerability and you'll ask for help and support from me, from your faculty mentors, from your family, from all your friends in this room. We're all supporters in this mission that you will lead. And so, I hope you're feeling the consequence of the white coat. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Godspeed on your rarefied and consequential journey. Now I'm very pleased to introduce Dr. George Kochman III, class of 2008. He's our president of the Medical Alumni Association, and his specialty is emergency medicine. Since 2015, he's been an attending physician at the Johns Hopkins Howard County Medical Center. Dr. Kochman.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the 8,500 living members of the Medical Alumni Association of the University of Maryland, I wish to welcome the class of 2028 to the alumni family. This is a very exciting day for each of you. Receiving your white coat marks a significant step forward in your dream of becoming a physician. Our medical school will help you realize your dreams, but I can promise you that during the next 4 years, you will be challenged like you've never been challenged before. Your Alumni Association will be standing alongside during your journey, supporting you. You had your first interaction with us Monday at Davidge Hall. And today, as you don your white coat, you are receiving a stethoscope provided by the association, as well as a note of encouragement from one of our alumni colleagues. Many of you are already recipients of scholarships established by graduates. I was too. And throughout the course of your education here, we'll be staging events and activities to make your experience at Maryland a memorable one. On a personal note, as someone who sat in the same seat 20 years ago, I want to tell you something. Be careful with this white coat. Be careful to use it as a shield, protecting you from dirt and grime, and yes, bodily fluids. Be careful to protect it from those who will think of you as only a medical student. You are smarter than they think. Be careful not to use it as a weapon. Someday you will be an expert in medicine, but your patient will always be an expert in themselves. Listen to them. Be careful to use it as a place of comfort, a way to feel strong even when you doubt yourself. You are smarter than you think. Be careful not to use it as a mark of overconfidence. Nobody knows everything about medicine. Lean on your fellow students to help you along this journey. Be careful to keep it clean. It works surprisingly well as a pillow or a blanket on those long nights on call. Trust me on this. Be careful, as it will make you invisible. You can blend in when things get hard. Challenge yourself. Be careful, as it will make you stand out when you wish you couldn't be seen. Don't hide from your mistakes, learn from them, and never be afraid to apologize to a patient or their family. Be careful what you stuff in the pockets. Reflex hammers are good, otoscopes, papers, pens are good too. A snack is really good. Be careful not to leave your lunch in it for days on end. Trust me on this one. Be careful to use it as a source of pride for you, your family, and your friends. But also be very careful, because you will look exactly like a waiter at a nice restaurant in Little Italy. Finally, be careful, as this is a powerful white coat. It gives you the power to change someone's life, and you will do it. It will give you the power to save someone's life, and you will do that. And, most importantly, it will give you the power to hold someone's hand and tell them that you will be with them to the end when there is nothing more than you can do. So, be very careful with your white coat and use it well. One more word of caution. When this ceremony is over and you are celebrating with your family and friends and classmates, just like I did 20 years ago, be careful who you are standing next to when you take your pictures. You just might wind up standing next to them for the rest of your life. Thank you, congratulations, and good luck.
You've heard that a number of times this week, right? That you're going to form lifelong friendships, but may also meet your future life partners. Thank you, Dr. Coachman. Those were really incredibly inspiring words about the white coat, and thank you for sharing your own experience and your humor with us. Our next speaker today is Class of 2025 Secretary, Lindsay Cohen. Lindsay graduated from the University of Maryland, College Park in 2021 with a Bachelor of Science in Biology and a Bachelor of Art in French. She's planning to apply for a residency position in general surgery this fall, so she is about to be on this stage very soon as one of our graduates. Lindsay.
Thank you, everyone. Hi and hello. We already met on Tuesday, wonderful students, but I just wanted to come and talk a little bit about what the white coat means to me. So I just wanted to say thank you to friends, faculty, family, and our amazing class of 2028. Round of applause. They deserve it. So I was asked to speak a little bit about what the white coat means to me.
First and foremost is the privilege that the white coat represents. It is a privilege to go to any medical school, but we here at the University of Maryland have the extreme privilege at learning at a leading teaching hospital with renowned faculty. We have, our center executed the first successful cardiac xenotransplant 2 years ago. We are the first in the world to create an aromatase inhibitor, which is a drug used to prevent breast cancer recurrence in postmenopausal women. And of course, my favorite, the world's first shock trauma center. But even greater is that we have the privilege to learn from our patients, what ailments afflict them, how this affects their lives. And then we have the knowledge to help them become their best selves. During medical school, you can study for hours on end and learn all about the details of a disease, but you will never truly understand a disease until you see how it affects a patient firsthand. This is where our role as medical students is so paramount. We have the unique ability of time. Time we can sit with the patients, learn about their disease, about their goals for recovery, about their life outside the hospital. And in this respect, we can better understand both the disease and the person behind it. I wanted to share a story from a time on one of my surgical clerkships. This was a young woman who had developed an infection of her pancreas from a procedure a few weeks prior. She came to our hospital with severe pain, vomiting, fever, and signs of worsening infection. Her infection had progressed, and the tissue was starting to die. We started with conservative management, but she eventually needed a drain placed to decompress the area. Every day, we would see her walking around the laps around the unit with her family. I would come in the afternoons to check on how she was doing. Some days were better than others, but she always had a family member there to help advocate for her pain. By the second week, and a second drain placed, she told me about her 4-month-old son at home, how she works at a barn, the horses she rides, and relationship advice. We chatted as I joined her for her daily walks around the unit and joked about the best mac and cheese, one with a good crust, okay? She gave me a hug before she went back into bed, and I went to the OR. She eventually had a procedure to remove the dead tissue and was discharged home once her pain was under better control. Despite how badly she felt, every day she tried to get up and walk around as much as possible because she wanted to get home and see her son. No one wants to be in a hospital, away from their loved ones, being poked and prodded every few hours with our less than stellar hospital food. I treated her as a friend because sometimes that's all you need. And her pain became more manageable when she had a distraction, so that's what I tried to provide. During my past 3 years here, I have learned that attitude goes a long way. Patients have told me things they haven't shared with the rest of the team just by me going by every day and talking to them like a normal person. Nurses have taught me how to put in lines and catheters when I introduced myself and offered to help. Residents have pulled me aside to teach me high-yield points about managing the disease when I have shown interest. Fellow medical students have connected me with mentors because we chat about our interests and needs. Being a good physician means being able to empathize and support your patients, but that requires support of your own. People turn to the white coat looking for answers, looking for comfort in their most vulnerable moments. My advice to you all is to pay attention to your lecture material, build those relationships with your classmates, engage in mentorship experiences, lean on your friends and family for support, and always remember who you are doing this for. As you put on your white coat, wear it with pride and grace, and be thankful for everything that's brought you here to this moment. Thank you for listening, and best of luck in your journey. Each year, the University of Maryland School of Medical School chapter of Gold Humanism Honor Society selects a faculty presenter to give remarks at the White Coat ceremony. This year's presenter, Dr. Richard Colgan, was selected because of the strong commitment to medical student teaching and mentorship that he has maintained throughout his illustrious career at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. His long tenure as professor and executive vice chair of the Department of Family and Community Medicine has been marked by numerous accolades that highlight his dedication to promoting compassion and empathy in our school's medical graduates. In addition to his captivating lectures, Dr. Colgan has authored 2 books that speak to the type of physician he is: Advice to the Young Physician on the Art of Medicine, and Advice to the Healer on the Art of Caring. I am pleased to welcome Dr. Colgan to share a few pearls of advice to the members of the class of 2028 as they embark on their medical journeys. Dr. Colgan.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. The white coat is symbolic of being a doctor, but what does being a doctor mean? Of course, the title infers many things, but I'll focus today on teaching and service. If you don't know, the word doctor comes from Latin docere, to teach, but here's a twist. I'll begin by telling you some quick stories of medical students who I've worked with who taught me. One of my first-year students was interviewing a patient in the hospital, and the patient was not enjoying what she viewed as an interrogation. The patient was becoming exasperated at her questions and more upset at what she viewed as unnecessary poking and prodding. Acknowledging this patient's frustration, my student said, "Ma'am, you're going to have to be patient with us. We're just students." It's true. My student meant well, but she was wrong. It was we who needed to be patient with our patient. My second-year primary care longitudinal elective student gave me great pause recently. We had just learned that my patient's A1C, or long-term diabetes blood test, went from 6 to 14 in the 2 years that he stopped taking his medication. She was visibly upset and tearful coming out of the room. When I told her that sometimes we are witness to bad choices and bad outcomes, and that this was part of the practice of medicine, she defiantly replied, "I know, but I'll never just shrug it off and not care." A third-year student whom I worked with met first with a patient of mine who stopped taking her medications. One could easily have simply charted in Epic, our electronic health record, the word non-compliant. But my student followed up by asking this patient, "What obstacles keep you from taking your medicines?" Lastly, a fourth-year medical student knocked me over when she was interviewing a patient who suffered from a terminal illness and for whom things looked very bleak. She asked the patient, "What are your sources of hope?" So to the medical students and those not in the field of medicine here today, I'd like you to know the physicians in this audience also learn from you. To those donning your white coats, you're accepting the role of healer in training. Some of history's greatest healers had much to teach us. Their admonitions are still as important today as when they were first spoken, and here are a few of my favorites. From Hippocrates, who not only said, "First do no harm," but also observe all. Evaluate honestly. Prognosticate when you can. And when it comes to therapeutics, assist nature. Francis Peabody reminded us that the secret in the care of the patient is to care for the patient. Sir William Osler said, "Nothing will sustain you more potently than the power to recognize in your humdrum routine, as perhaps it may be thought, the true poetry of life. The poetry of the commonplace, of the plain, toil-worn woman, with their loves and their joys, their sorrows and their griefs." And lastly, I'll never forget attending a similar ceremony as this years ago and listening to the vice dean of this medical school, Dr. Frank Kalia, who's from Boston, say, "Listen, when you're not sure what to do, when you're not sure how to proceed or what comes next, just remember this: focus on the patient." So I love that quote, and I had these little badges, little pins made. I only have like 4 left, so I'm going to leave them up here, and you all can decide who might like them. But focus on the patient. On behalf of the entire University of Maryland School of Medicine faculty, I want you to know how excited and hopeful we are for you. As you begin your training with us, but it's more than training, it's a commitment to service. You're committing yourself to a lifetime of service. And while this may seem daunting, every doctor in this room will tell you how grateful they are to have been given the opportunity to live a life of service. Because in caring for others, it's we who are made human. Thank you. I would now like to invite Dr. Christian Powell-Rivas to the stage, who will be introducing our next presenters. Dr. Rivas is an assistant professor in the Department of Family and Community Medicine and the assistant dean for student diversity and inclusion. She's also a faculty advisor to the School of Medicine's Student Diversity Council. Dr. Rivas.
Thank you, Dr. Colgan. I'm excited to introduce our next presenters, Thelma Achufusi and Jambi Kuguru, two class of 2027 medical students who are the co-vice presidents of the UMSOM chapter of the Student National Medical Association, or SNMA. SNMA is primarily focused on educating, serving, and empowering underserved communities through health education, screening, and youth enrichment programs. This group is part of the Student Diversity Council, and I am pleased to be one of the two faculty advisors for the council, which is made up of several School of Medicine student groups and is dedicated to fostering a welcoming, inclusive environment for all members of the School of Medicine community, with a particular focus on our students. The council aims to enhance communication on diversity issues between students, faculty, and administrative staff, as well as among the diverse student interest groups represented on the council. Jambi and Thelma will be speaking today on what the white coat means to them personally and as representatives of the SNMA. Please welcome them to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're here to talk about what the white coat means to us. The white coat, the greatest and heaviest coat I will ever put on. Honestly, when I first got to medical school, I didn't take the time to reflect on the journey that got me here. It didn't really hit until the first 2 weeks of school. I walked into the anatomy lab and I saw my patient. Dr. Pouchet said that this patient was supposed to help us with anatomy. I was stunned at the gravity of their sacrifice. Someone was willing to donate their body to aid me in my journey to become a physician. I went home and I cried, but I was not distraught. I felt humbled to learn on this patient. I felt a deep sense of appreciation. As my medical education continues, I always think back to this day. As I see patients in my practice of medicine sessions with Dr. Sachdeva, I always think back to that day. My white coat to me symbolizes lifelong learning. I'm not just learning from the patient in front of me, who entrust me with their most personal and deepest troubles, but I'm also learning from the patients who graciously donated their bodies to me for my education.
When I think about what my white coat means to me, I think of it as a tribute, as a symbol, and as a responsibility. A tribute to those who came before me, my grandfather whose fatal diagnosis pierced my heart, my mother who pushed me to look beyond what society tells me I can do, and the patients who reinforced my passion to enter into this field. I see it as a symbol of what someone like me can do in this world, a symbol of the hundreds to thousands of hours spent studying, working, and yes, crying, to get to this life-changing moment, a symbol of the first step to learning and understanding this new version of myself, doctor. But I cannot forget the responsibility that I now bear, a responsibility to always treat the next patient with the utmost compassion, integrity, and care from the moment I step into the cadaver anatomy lab and witness the selfless patient before me. A responsibility to push myself to understand not just how the diseases affect the human body, but the various interconnected social and economic factors that can impact a patient's access to care in the community around me. A responsibility to inspire the next generation of future minority physicians to increase diversity in the workforce. A responsibility to advocate for my patients and discover what I can tangibly do to improve the healthcare system, whether it be in research, mentorship, or service. Today, you will receive your white coat. It will make you feel different, and for a reason, as it did for both of us. You now inherit the privilege and responsibility to improve the health of your community. You now inherit the commitment to long-standing learning and the willingness to help and understand people who are similar and people who are different to you. Wear it with pride, wear it with the knowledge that you deserve to be here, and wear it with confidence.
This road is not easy. You will make sacrifices with your time and priorities to develop into this new role. Always remind yourself of why you started this journey. Reflect on your personal statement that granted you this spot, and lean on those who support you and your classmates around you. Cherish every opportunity given. Explore your passions. Meet and get to know others different from you. And continue to enjoy the little things that bring joy to your life. And yes, you can wash your white coat too. Congratulations, class of 2028.
Wow. Thank you, Thelma. Thank you, John B. Also, thank you to Lindsay and Dr. Colgan. We've now heard several different perspectives of what the privilege of care and the symbol of the white coat means. And at this time, we'd also like to share what it means from you. We've asked you earlier this week to describe what the symbol of the white coat means in your own words, and we want to, I think, put it up on the screen here today. For those of you joining us virtually, you can view this white word cloud at medschool.umaryland.edu/whitecoat. Honor, commitment, professionalism, trust. I won't read them all, but you can see here the white coat is very meaningful to our students, representing a variety of important values, each of which you will demonstrate throughout your time here and in your future careers in medicine. In a few moments, we'll begin calling our students to the stage for the presentation of their very own white coats. Their coat will be placed on them by a faculty member representing their house. After being coated, students will then move on to sign their name in our honor registry, assisted by Mr. Larry Pitroff, Executive Director of the Medical Alumni Association. Mr. Pitroff, you can start making your way up onto the stage. So as noted before, the Alumni Association has graciously provided this beautiful leather album that students will sign as an affirmation of the Code of Honor. The book comes out of our historic Davidge Hall teaching facility just once a year, specifically for this purpose, and it is one of the many ways in which the Medical Alumni Association supports our students and our student programs over their 4 years here. The name of each of you in the class of 2028 was inscribed into the registry by class of 2027 student Alexander Dula. Thank you, Alexander. I would now like to ask Dr. Donna Parker, Dr. Bernadette Chaton, and Student Marshal Pratik Swamikumar to please come to the stage. As they're making their way up, students, as you come up and before you exit the stage, each of you will be receiving a stethoscope donated today by the alumni of the Medical Alumni Association, along with that personalized note written by an alum. We are so grateful to the MAA and the alumni for these gifts. The stethoscopes will be handed out to students by Dr. Parker, and the notes will be distributed by Dr. Shaitan. Dr. Shaitan is Associate Professor in the Department of Medicine and the Assistant Dean for the UME to GME transition. So a little hidden curriculum for many of you who don't know. We are undergraduate medical education, or UME, and GME is the next phase of residency after graduation. I'd also like to ask Dean Gladwin, Dr. Mary Claire Rogman, and Dr. Mary Njoku to please come to the stage. As they're coming up, I will introduce them. Dr. Rogman is the director of our MD PhD training program and the Associate Dean for Physician Scientist Training. And Dr. Njoku is the house head for our Eva Dodge House. Students, you will be called up to the stage in groups of 3, beginning with the Eva Dodge House. Your student marshal will instruct you to proceed to the aisle 1 row at a time, so please follow their direction. After you are coded, sign the honor registry, step off the stage to have your photo taken, and before you leave, please don't forget to pick up those stethoscopes and the notes from Drs. Parker and Shaitan. You can then use the stairs in front of you on this side of the stage to return to your seat. And now I would also like to invite our Student Affairs Liaison for the Eva Dodge House, Dr. Elizabeth Lemos, up to the stage. Dr. Lemos is an associate professor in medicine and an assistant dean for student affairs, and she will introduce our first set of coders and call our first set of students from the Eva Dodge House to the stage.
I'd like to invite our Eva Dodge House coders, Dr. Rebecca Cray, Dr. Norman Retner, and Dr. Gentry Wilkerson to the stage. And now we'll get started. I'd like to invite Nishal Ada, Amelie Aisha, Emily Bliss. Yes, you can clap. Tyler Carlisle, Savannah Clough, Becca Corder. Congratulations. Faith Davis, Grace Dobbins, Priya Dolman. Harrison Ewing, Nicole Fortune Hernandez, Komal Gandhi. Harrison Heitzig, Lauren Jacobs, Timothy Jiang. Andrew Kang, Nina Kaloji, Abigail Lee. Anna Lee, Anne Liu, Yusuf Mastur. Sumar Meher, Katerina Melnick, Ivan Mohammed. Claire Molavi, Chianthan Murali, Umaila Naim. Julian Oluwale, McLean Panchin, Stephanie Paz. Leah Petrados, Tyler Prisgaki, Ashwina Pugazendi. Carrie Polano, Matthew Ryan, Shivani Shah. Anastasia Chernovskaya, Kenneth Tu, Jalen Tom. Ankush Verma, Justin Zhang. Congratulations, Ava Dodge. Thank you to our Ava Dodge faculty. I'd now like to invite Dr. John Allen back up to the stage. Dr. Allen is the Student Affairs Liaison for our Julius Friedenwald House, which will be presented next.
Please welcome Dr. Olga Yaffe, Friedenwald House Head, and Dr. Devang Patel, Assistant Dean for the Pre-Clerkship Curriculum, to the stage, along with our first set of Julius Friedenwald House Coders, Dr. Zubair Ahmad, Dr. Saima Riazuddin, and Dr. Uzo Amaka Eke. Dr. Ahmad and Dr. Riazuddin are UMSOM faculty members and parents of class of 2028 student Maria Ahmad. Manor, oh, not quite. We're ready. Manor Abed, Maria Ahmad, Eugene Bosworth. Kayla Brown-Colley, Victoria Carter, Nora Chiragi. Urvi Chowdhury, Raymond Dar, David Diop. Catherine Dravetsky, Carly Funk, Aaron G. Silanor Inanolu, William Jeffries, Kevin Jung. Alexander Kuo, Audrey Lawrence, Angie Lee. Rebecca Lee, Sarah McDonald, Krisha Mullick. I'd like to thank Dr. Ahmad and Dr. Riazuddin, and now invite Dr. Dara Farber and Dr. Rima Koka to the stage. Jack Mason, Lakshmi Mathivanan, Sian McConan. Reva Menon, Caitlin Murphy, and Mustafa. Odera Nowecki, Shiwei Pang, Daniel Pyo. Tareem Riaz, Benjamin Schuster, Kirsten Snyder. Freddie Stewart, Gabriel Tobin-Shett, Kevin Tu. Isabel Veloso, Tyler Wishard, Angela Yang. Ethan Yang, Jack Yang. Thank you to our Friedenwald House faculty. We will now present white coats to our Lois Young Thomas House students. Please welcome Dr. Carrie Tom back to the stage. Dr. Tom is the Student Affairs Liaison for our Lois Young Thomas House.
I'd like to invite Dr. Connie LeCap, the Office of Medical Education Liaison for the Lois Young Thomas House, to the stage. I'd also like to invite our coders, Dr. Kelly Moyer, Dr. Grace Snow, and Dr. Shripriya Sundararajan. In addition to being a faculty member for the Lois Young Thomas House, Dr. Sundararajan is the parent of class of 2028 student Manashi Prashanth. Elisa Arikari. Andrew Ayers. Namin Bandari. Paige Bristow. Gabriela Cabrera. Pershun Das. James Ellis Jr. Isaac Friedman. Jennifer Huang. Christopher Huang. Peter Jensen. Olivia Jordan. Lucille Juma. Karen Cartawera. Gerald Kidd. Yehyun Kim. Evangel Lawrence. Abel Lindley. Shiza Mansour. Robert McLucky. And Anta Indor. Andrew Nguyen. Grace Nguyen. Ioluwa Kitan Olawafimi. Magna Pandy. Ruth Park. And D.G. Patel. Manasi Prashanth. Seth Rabinowitz. Dilara Rajabi. Zubia Rani. Maya Robnet. Cece Rogers. Joshua Rosen. Raquel Roel. Mustafa Siddiqui. Aditi Singh. Elizabeth Summers. Sophie Tran. Claire Wagner. And Clarissa Shaw. Thank you, Lois Young Thomas House faculty. I'd now like to invite Dr. Marissa Flaherty to the stage. Dr. Flaherty is the Student Affairs Liaison for our Maria Garcia Palmieri House.
Good afternoon. I'd like to please welcome our Office of Medical Education Liaison for the Mario Garcia Palmieri House, Dr. Joseph Martinez, back to the stage, along with our coders, Dr. Jacob Blumenthal and Dr. M. Brian Polsky and Dr. Sarah McAvoy. In addition to being UMSOM faculty members, Dr. Blumenthal is the parent of class of 2028 student Samuel Blumenthal, and Dr. Polsky is the parent of class 2028 students Daniel Polsky and Evan Polsky. Right. Ayan Ahmed, Samuel Blumenthal, Lauren Brooks. Megan Burke, Amy Campos, Alana Carter. Andrew Chan, Nicholas Chapasco, Lauren Colliver. Ethan Devereaux, Nikki Amamian, Jeffrey Fenn. Elisa Forsberg, Ruchika Gadakar, Isabella Gambo. Janet Leong, Nicholas Lynch, Sarah Molina. Rashida Mohammed Hines, Diego Mora, Salim Mohammed. Jesus Nera, Takvu Nguyen, Sabrina Nusrati. Daniel Polsky, Evan Polsky, Gideon Pakuda Levit, Leslie Puma, Priyanka Ravi, Mary Robinson. Reem Saifuddin, Hiya Sani, Anna Scherf, Naman Chef, Akash Suresh Kumar, Sean Thrasher. Molly Walker, Nicole Wataska, Julia Whiteleather, Joshua Wilmer, Sarah Yang, Sahar Zogi, Thank you to our Mario Garcia Palmieri House faculty and to Dean Gladwin and Dr. Rogman. As the students are finishing up signing the honor registry and having their photos taken, once all students have returned to their seats, we will proceed with the next portion of our program. In the meantime, please enjoy some photos of our student life and milestone celebrations from throughout the medical school journey.
Congratulations, class of 2028. I'd now like to invite Dr. Norman Retner to the stage, along with our volunteer Student Code of Honor readers. Student readers, please join Ms. McCartan just off stage, and you can line up over here to your left, or to my left, I'm sorry. Dr. Retner is an assistant professor in the Department of Medicine and assistant dean for longitudinal undergraduate medical education. Thank you, Dr. Retner.
Thank you, Dr. Tom. We will now prepare to read the Code of Honor. To celebrate the diversity of the class of 2028, several of our first-year students have volunteered to read a portion of the Code of Honor in their native language. The Code of Honor was written by our University of Maryland School of Medicine chapter of the Gold Humanism Honor Society and is reviewed by the chapter annually to ensure that it aligns with the values and goals of today's medical students. Recitation of the Code of Honor represents the public acknowledgement by our students of the responsibilities of the profession they have chosen to enter and their willingness to assume such obligations in the presence of family, friends, and faculty. Students, it is our hope that each of you will remember this day and this oath as you venture forth on the path to a career in medicine, and that you will live by the words you speak today. After each of our volunteer readers recites their portion of the Code of Honor in their native language, I will be reciting the same section in English, which can be found in your ceremony program. Readers, when you are ready, please join me on stage. It might be a moment. They're getting in order. I now invite all students and faculty to stand and recite the Code of Honor along with us in English or your native language. Our first readers will be Nikki Amamian and Dilara Rajabi reciting in Farsi.
با برگزینی این کت سفید تعهد می‌کنم که من با اتکا به تجربه‌های گذشتگان در پیشرفت‌های علمی و بشری ادامه دهم.
با این قسم خوردن من از امتیازات و مسئولیت‌های پزشک شدن آگاهی دارم.
Accepting this white coat, I entered the profession of medicine with a duty to build on scientific and humanistic advancements of past generations, and taking this oath, I recognize my privilege and responsibility in becoming a physician. Excellent. Elisa Forsberg, Japanese.
故に私は将来の医師として他者にいかなる害も与えないことを誓います。
Therefore, I pledge as a future physician, I will do no harm. Stephanie Paz and Amy Campos, Spanish.
Respetaré a mis pacientes y su autonomía. Trataré a mis pacientes y sus seres queridos como lo haría con los míos.
Buscaré establecer confianza a través del contacto visual, el escuchar activamente y el consentimiento informado. Protegeré las relaciones confidenciales que comparto con mis pacientes.
I will respect my patients and their autonomy. I will treat my patients and their loved ones as I would my own. I will seek to establish trust through eye contact, active listening, and informed consent. I will safeguard the confidential relationships I share with my patients. Amali Ayash and Anne Mustafa, Arabic.
سأبذل قصارى جهدي لنشر الوعي حول الصحة والمرض، وسأحمل مسؤولية الدور المفصلي الذي ألعبه في تغيير حياة المريض، كما أتمنى أن أكون الملجأ الآمن لكل المرضى والسند الذي يهون عليهم محنتهم.
سأدرك أن رعاية الناس هي تجربة رسمية وتحويلية بالنسبة لهم.
With every room that I enter, I will bring warmth, empathy, and an understanding of the complexity of health and illness. I will recognize that caring for people is a formal and transformative experience for them. Selenor Enanolu, Turkish.
Gelecekte bir hekim olarak insanların hayatlarını doğrudan etkileyebileceğim özgün durumumun bilincindeyim. Asıl sağlığın toplumsal, maddi, manevi ve duygusal sıhhat ile temelden ilişkili olduğunu ve sadece hastalıklardan kaynaklanan belirtilerden ibaret olmadığının farkındayım.
I recognize my unique position to directly impact people's lives. I understand that my patients' health goes far beyond the symptoms of their diseases and is intimately connected with their social, economic, spiritual, and emotional well-being. Ye-hyun Kim, Korean.
저는 역사적으로 소외된 커뮤니티를 섬기는 데 있어 우리 의료 시스템의 부족함을 인정합니다. 또한 의학 분야에서 지속되고 있는 체계적 불평등을 인지하고 이러한 커뮤니티에 가해진 불이함을 바로잡기 위해 헌신할 것을 다짐합니다.
I acknowledge the shortcomings of our healthcare system in serving historically marginalized communities. I recognize the ongoing systemic inequities in medicine and commit to repairing the injustices inflicted upon these communities. Unkush Verma and Hiya Sani, Hindi.
छात्र डॉक्टर के रूप में मुझे हमेशा याद रहेगा कि मैं एक स्वास्थ्य सेवक हूँ। मैं एक आवश्यक टीम का हिस्सा हूँ जो हमेशा उत्तम प्रकार से सेहत प्रदान करती है।
मैं अपना कार्य नम्रता से करूँगी, आंकलन व प्रतिक्रिया सविनय स्वीकार करूँगी और नए विचारों की ओर अपना मन खुला रखूँगी, इस आत्मविश्वास से कि मुझ में सकारात्मक परिवर्तन लाने की क्षमता है। मैं अपने सहकर्मियों से मदद व परामर्श लेने में कभी संकोचाऊंगी नहीं।
I will always remember that as a student doctor, I am an essential part of a team working to provide the very best care. I will be humble, receptive to feedback, open to new ideas, and confident in my ability to make a positive impact. I will not hesitate to ask for assistance or advice from my colleagues. Anna Lee, Mandarin.
我将永远是医学的学生，致力于终身学习。我将不断扩大我的知识，同时主动尽职尽责地服务和教育我的患者。我感谢我一生中所有的教育者，并履行我进行下一代医生的责任。
I will always be a student of medicine, committed to lifelong learning. I will continually expand my knowledge while taking the initiative to dutifully serve and educate my patients. I acknowledge all my educators throughout my life and honor my responsibility to promote the next generations of physicians. Tareem Riaz and Zubia Rani, Urdu.
मैं अपनी ज़हनी, जिस्मानी और जज्बाती तंदुरुस्ती का एहतराम करूँगी ताकि अपने मरीज़ों और ख़ुद की मौसर तरीके से देखभाल कर सकूँ।
एक साथ मिलकर हम इंसानियत की जारी बेहतरी के लिए इन नज़रियात को पूरी वफादारी के साथ मुजासिम करने की कसम खाते हैं।
I will honor my mental, physical, and emotional well-being so that I can effectively care for my patients and myself. Together, we swear to faithfully embody these ideals for the ongoing betterment of humanity. So thank you to our readers. You may return to your seats. You guys did a great job. And now please welcome Dr. Tom back to the stage.
Thank you all for being a part of today's special event, the Class of 2028 White Coat Ceremony. Students, as we adjourn today, your marshals will lead you back on stage, actually, for a class photo. Dean Gladwin and the Undergraduate medical education leaders may also please join on the stage for the photo. Family, friends, faculty members, we invite you to proceed out to the theater. To your left will be a light reception with sweets and refreshments in the lobby area. You'll also notice that, your students will join you shortly after the photo, and you'll also notice that students from the class of 2027 will have a table set up in the reception area where you can purchase some School of Medicine swag and gifts, again, in support of your students. These proceeds go directly to the class of 2027, which will support class social functions throughout their time here, and in a manner of paying it forward, your students will be in the lobby next year. Once again, congratulations to the class of 2028. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the reception. We'll give you your students back in just a few moments.
You okay? Yeah.